Hello, this is Shadow, and today I'm going to be doing a updated deck profile of my Shinobird deck for July 2021. This is an older deck, and the last time that I posted a deck profile on this was about 2 years ago, so yeah, you can definitely see we're going to need an updated deck profile. Before we get started, I want to thank Dark Arm Duelist, or Dad. If you haven't visited his channel, please go ahead and visit his channel. He's got a lot of good deck profiles and a lot of really good content. Actually, this is what helped me establish this deck and actually upgrade it and build it to be somewhat similar to his, just so that I'm saying that I'm not copying him or anything. Most of the cards in here are pretty much going to be the same except for a few changes, but other than that, this deck is really fun, and I just really hope you enjoy this video that I've got set up for you. Also, keep in mind your extra deck. It does not matter in this deck exactly what you have, as long as you have the basic cards in here, the basic extra deck cards. Shinobirds are a little bit different because they're a ritual deck that actually are spirit monsters, so they all come back to the hand. And it makes it to where they don't stay on the field at the end of the turn, so being able to actually set up like link plays and everything can be somewhat difficult, but it is impossible. And you're really going to enjoy the little Kaiju engine that I have in here, because I learned that from Dark Arm Duelist, and how it really helped the deck out a lot. So without any further ado, I'm excited about showing this to you, so let's get started. Alright. So first three copies are going to be Shinobird and Peacock. This guy is the main boss monster of the deck next to Shinobird as Peacock, and what he does is when he is ritual summoned, he can pop up to three cards on the field, up to three monsters on the field, and send them back to the hand. And when he goes back to the hand at the end phase of the turn, he leaves 2 level 4 spirit tokens that you can keep to either link play next turn if you're able to, if they're still on the field, or just to be able to block your opponent. He's really good because of that, because he can destroy up to 3 monsters on the field. And Shinobird, 3 copies of Shinobird, or Shinobird as Peacock, she does the same thing except she pops spells and traps, so that makes her very valuable in this deck, in my opinion. And this deck is actually a lot of fun because it's easy to get a lot of the monsters out, so don't be swayed about if you've seen that it may be difficult, because in this deck it's actually not difficult at all. For the Shinobird engine, you can, if you want, replace 2 of these with the Kaiju. If you want, I only to have 2 and 2. I run 2 Shinobird Crows. Shinobird Crow, if you discard a monster card, it actually becomes the attack and defense of the card that was discarded. So if you aren't able to have a ritual spell into your hand, you can use this guy, and he can become the 3000 or the 2500. And Shinobird Crane is a great card asset. I only have it on 1 in this deck though. Shinobird Crane, if as long as this is on the field, if you normal special summon a spirit monster, you get to draw a card. So it does give you a little bit of draw power. Alright, next we got Hinokagasuchi. Hinokagasuchi is actually a really good tech card. If you can sacrifice the 2 monsters for it, he wipes your opponent's basically hand. If he attacks direct, they have to discard all cards in the hand during the next draw phase before they draw. So before they draw, they lose their entire hand. So if there's anything left, it will completely wipe them out. And this guy's actually a hidden gem because a lot of people don't play with him. It's a spirit deck, people. This is what you do. Spirits all come back to the hand and everything. It's kind of like Noah, if you remember the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. Noah had spirit monsters and they all went back to the hand, except this doesn't have spiritual energy settle machine and stuff, which you don't really need it. And you got 1 copy of Yamada Dragon. Yamada Dragon's really good too. In here, if he attacks your opponent directly or does damage to your opponent's life points, you can draw up to 5 until you have 5 cards in your hand, so he replenishes your hand. And then 2 copies of Amano Iwato. This guy is awesome. When he's normal or special summon, he makes it to where it negates all face-up effects on your opponent's side of the field, so they cannot do anything except spirit monsters. So when he hits the field, they can't activate their effects unless spirit monsters, and since this is an entire spirit deck, you do not have to worry about that at all. Alright, 2 copies of Hebo, Lord of the River. Hebo is a really cool tech card because Hebo actually can make all monsters on the field, and including your opponents, spirit monsters. So at the end phase of the turn, when he goes back to the hand, they'll go back to the hand too. So it kind of wipes their field. Alright, and then 3 copies of Aratama. Aratama is a great card in this deck, because when he is normal summoned or flip face up, I can add a spirit monster from your deck to your hand. So he replenishes your spirit monsters that you need, and you can get your ritual spirit monsters, or you can get any of the other ones that you need for this deck. Alright, next we have 3 copies of Nikita, and Nikita is actually an awesome card too for this deck. Let me position it, there we go. Nikita is, you can draw a card when he's, first of all, when he's sent to the graveyard. So if he's used as a ritual, used as a tribute for a ritual summon, or if he's used as for a link or exceed play, you can draw a card for it, which is really, really great. And you also can normal summon an additional spirit monster. So if you have him on the field, you can normal summon a different spirit monster. So that can set up for your exceed plays. This is mainly a level 4 deck, so you're only going to be link summoning level 4s, or you're going to be link summoning monsters or exceed summoning level 4s. Now this guy, you can replace him with Manju the 10,000 Hands. This is Sonicbird. This is a classic card. It gets your ritual field spell when it's normal summoned. And then time for the Kaiju engine. You can run 2 copies of Gamacell and 2 copies of Dogoran if you want. I'm only running 1 of each because they can. Gamacell can get a little bit pricey. This one is actually relatively cheap. This gets special summoned to your opponent's side of the field by tributing one of their monsters, and basically it gets rid of their monsters and can be searched out through Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. So the point is, if you have Interrupted Kaiju Slumber and these are in the deck, you're going to want to special summon Gamacell to their side of the field, and then Dogoran to your side of the field, and you're just going to ram into it. So this is a really good little tech card to add in this deck. Alright, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's move on to the spells and traps. First, we've got 3 copies of the Shinobird Calling. Shinobird Calling is a great ritual card because it offers one thing that a lot of them don't, and that is when you have a ritual monster in your hand, you can tribute monsters from your hand field or banish monsters from the graveyard to special summon for the ritual. So, for the ritual. So, I mean, that, in my opinion, is such a plus, because if you don't have anything in your hand or on the field, you can banish the monsters from your graveyard. And that really, really helps. Alright, you've got 3 copies of Shinobird Power Spot. This gives them an additional 500 attack and defense, and every single time a spirit monster is sent back from, you can add a spirit monster or ritual spell from your deck to your hand every single time a spirit monster is sent back to your hand. So, potentially, this can recycle your ritual monsters and ritual spells every single time a spirit monster is sent back to the hand, which is really good because this is what makes the deck flow and what keeps it going. Alright, and then 3 copies of Prepreparation of Rights. Yes, I do realize if you are seeing the title, this is the dual, speed dual one. These are actually somewhat pricey, but you can always get these if you don't really care about that. Prepreparation of Rights adds a ritual monster and a ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. So it really does help. And Prepreparation of Rights adds the level 7. This one adds any of the ritual spell and ritual monster from your deck to your hand. So that's a good way to get that Shinobird Calling out on the field to start up and set up for your plays. Okay, so I do plan on getting 2 more Interrupted Kaiju Slumber because these are about $8 or so they can be somewhat pricey. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is an awesome card. It goes into this deck perfectly because you can destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, and then special summon in attack position 2 of the Kaiju monsters with different names from your deck, like I told you before with Dogoran and Gamacell. And those are the only 2 that end up battling. So that's what makes this card really good, because it pretty much destroys all monsters on the field, and it makes it to where you special summon a Kaiju and your opponent special summons a Kaiju, and in return they're going to duke it out and wipe off the field, and then you can go along with your plays. Alright, so that's it for the spells, guys. This is going to be the traps. I'm going to run 2 traps in here, 2 Urgent Ritual Arts. This acts as a ritual spell card by banishing the ritual monsters. So if you control no ritual monsters, you can banish a ritual spell from your hand or graveyard, and this effect becomes that card's effect. So you can use this if you don't have Shinobird's Calling to ritual summon one of your Shinobaron or Shinobaroness. Alright, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's move on to the extra deck. And before, like I said before, with this, it does not matter what you play as long as you have some of the staples in here. This deck is, it's going to be hard to keep monsters on the field. You're only going to be able to have up to 2 or so at a time, so you don't have to worry about that. I don't see anybody being able to get more than that. So you're going to start off first with 2 Great Flies, and this is just for the wind attribute pump up for the Shinobirds and Shinobaroness. 1 copy of Landfrosiniach. I probably butcher that name. This is used just for a generic link, so you can go into Gaia Saber if you wanted to. This is a 2600 attack. And then you have Nightmare Phoenix to destroy spells and traps, and you've got Nightmare Unicorn to pop monsters. 1 Topologic Bomber Dragon. If you have Borload Dragon, you can replace that with this. This guy is in here because of its attack power, and also because you can, believe it or not, get this out. It's difficult, but you can, and then destroy special summon monsters. 2 copies of Castel, the Sky Blaster Musketeer. This guy is great for this deck because it just requires 2 level 4 monsters, and most of the cards in this deck are level 4. 1 Lightning Chidori to send set cards back to the hand, or back to the deck. And then Bujinki Amaterasu. You got 2 of these right here. 1 number 70 Malevolent Spider. 1 Stillstorm Roach if they have, like, say, a Cyber Dragon deck and they're rolling into the fusions. And last but not least, 1 number 101 Silent Honor Arc. Alright, so that's going to be it for the deck profile. Like I said, this deck is a lot of fun. It's just fun because it's a ritual deck that is spirit monsters, so they come back to the hand, so you don't really see that. And I'm not usually a big fan of ritual decks, to be honest with you. A lot of the times, the only ritual decks that I would consider myself is either this deck or a Vendra deck, for obvious reasons, for it being Resident Evil related and themed, and kind of like Hellraiser and Spawn and stuff. Not Hellraiser, just Spawn and like a lot of the Dark Horse references and everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. This is a great deck. Go out and have fun. It's actually relatively cheap. You can pretty much get the base set of this for about $30 and then just build off from there if you like. That's pretty much what I did in the beginning before, and it was awful, but the card prices have gone down for this because it's common. Every card in this deck pretty much is a common except for the spells, and then like obviously the Kaiju. Right, so with that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and with that, I'll see you guys next time. Later.